Here we go. Welcome, everyone. This is week 3 Keto Lifestyle for Women. And this week it's all about fat burning and what do you need to do to become a fat burner, how to hack your metabolism. We're going to get into your body type, finding hidden sugars as well, and a lot of other good stuff. So let's get to it. So you should have received every week we release, every week, like you will get week 4 in a couple days. We just want you to get caught up with week 3 and make sure that you got to listen to the video again. And not only that, it just really helps you to just stay on track. So let's take a look at what we're going to focus on for week 3, or what you were supposed to focus on, or what you will focus on for this week. So handout number 1. So it's about hacking your metabolism. So as you can see here, you definitely have a handout. So anything that has a handout 1, 2, 3, you actually have 5 different handouts, and you have audio to, as you can see, you either have an audio or a video. The sugar ones, there is no audio there, but all the other ones, these do. So you've got 1, 2, 3 videos. You should have 3 videos. How come I only see 2? Let's see. Health imbalances, video 1, health in your body type. Health imbalances that interfere with fat burning. And I'll have to look for this. It might be an audio. Okay, I'll look for that and upload it in case there was an error there. No, that's probably no video, because the video is here too. So I think this is wrong, because we have videos 1 and 2. So that's our screw up. So we're going to go in there and clean that out, fix it up. All right, well, let's get started. So how to hack your metabolism. Let's go to handout number 1. So as you can see here, let me see if I can open everything up here. These are some strategies for hacking your metabolism. And as you can see here, we're going to just go over a few of these, because these, you can go on, you can review this yourself. Some things that most people do not do is they don't sit down and eat. I see people driving in the car, I see them standing, watching TV, and they're not being mindful. So mindful eating is really important, because it really should just be an event that, that you are doing. It shouldn't be anyone else with, with you. So one of the things that I also, I kind of like to remind people is just make it a big deal. So decorate your table, put out nice china, put like some flowers or something. So that would be something that I would encourage. No distractions, eat in the kitchen. Kitchen is for one, kitchen table, well, it's for dinner, for breakfast and lunch, but of course some people use it for as their homework table, as many families do. But really, sit down and eat. Your mood is also something that I always tell people. If you are eating because you're getting in a funky mood, then think about why you're doing that. You don't want to eat when you're angry or depressed, or when you're emotional, because really that's not going to solve the problem. So you might want to ask yourself, why are you feeling this way? And you want to eat more in a relaxed state. So always ask yourself, why are you feeling this way? If you're anxious, what's going to happen is your body's making cortisol, and you kick into what's called a sympathetic state. When your body's in a sympathetic state, you can't digest well. So that's when you end up with a lot of digestive issues, with bloating, because your body's not able to make hydrochloric acid. The pancreas isn't able to make digestive enzymes. So you want to make sure that you're in a relaxed state. And that's why prayer really helps, because it just calms the body down and puts you in what's called a parasympathetic state. So sympathetic state is like, run for your life. Parasympathetic is more relaxed. And then sleep is another something that you definitely need to get dialed in, because if you are getting to bed by midnight, you actually are doing your body more harm than you're doing good. You see, there's even hormones that are kicking in during nighttime, especially like ghrelin and leptin. And those are two hormones that tell your body whether they're hungry or tells your body whether you're full. The less sleep that you get, or even if you get to bed by midnight, your body actually increases ghrelin, which is telling the body, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And leptin, it decreases leptin, which tells you I'm full. So that's why it's important to get your sleep dialed in. These are all hacks, of course, and hacks just means little shortcuts and strategies. And of course, food quality is really important, because if you're consuming any animal products, or if you're consuming produce that has pesticides on there, those are impact your hormones. And when they impact your hormones are what's responsible for your mood, for weight loss, for sex drive, sugar cravings, and so forth. So it's really important to eat food in its most natural state. And you want to make sure that you're looking at labels. A lot of times people are just like, oh, they look at the front and it says, oh, natural, oh, sugar free. But you want to look at, first, you want to look at the macros, like your calories, your fats, your carbs, and you want to look at proteins, okay? But you also want to look at here, ingredients. There sure are a lot of ingredients in here, and you want to be able to recognize them. Is this something you normally have in your pantry or refrigerator at home? If not, then you probably don't want to consume that. So let's go. The next one would be exercise, another hack. You don't have to go out and spend an hour, in the gym on the treadmill every single day. Actually, just little bouts of exercise are awesome. There's one of my favorite websites here is darebee.com. And you have all kinds of exercise programs with or without weights, and focuses on different body parts. So that is another one there as well. So let's go on to the next one here. Let's see if we can get in here. So that's hacking your metabolism. What about your body type? So remember the first week we talked about, or I gave you the handout, checking out your body type. Some are so obvious, like the ovarian body type is super obvious. And it's not just menstruating women. I mean, I've seen women that are in, are in menopause already, and they're still the ovarian body type. It's the one that has the pear shape. They still have a lot of like hot flashes. They're having a lot of female issues. And so some of the strategies here is you especially, yes, you can still do keto, but you also want to make sure that you're eating cruciferous vegetables, because they help metabolize estrogen, and also healthy for liver, which metabolizes, that's where your fat burning hormones are metabolized through. They do really well with the exercise. It requires more like using your lower body weight. So like the cycling, there's like a tracker at the gym. Those are some good ones for that. You're really using your lower extremities for that. And they do really well with endurance as well. You want to make sure, if you suspect you're an ovarian body type, that you get your hormones checked. I mean, it's so important. And even if a woman is postmenopausal, you have to get your hormones checked, because, there's a lot of estrogen-driven cancers. And also because there's lack of progesterone. So you need that estrogen progesterone balance. And I find that using the Dutch test or salivary testing is a lot better, because you also get to see how your hormones are being metabolized. So that's super important. And of course, here's a list of all the hormones I also recommend for the females. And there's also emotional connections with the ovarian body type. A lot of times for women, there's a lot of emotional connections with anger at their mate, dislike of self. They're always nursing hurt from a partner as well. So there's usually always some emotional connections with that. And some of the support that I recommend would be like the FemGuard from Designs for Health, and there's also the Bronco Protect, which is awesome because that's getting like 10 cups of cruciferous vegetables. So that's amazing in a little capsule. And wheatgrass also for cleansing the liver. Then you have your adrenal body type. There's a lot of people that are adrenal body types. They have that loose belly fat. They have the muffin tops. These are like the type A personality. These are people that have been running, and just exhausting their body. So they usually do better with the higher fat and moderate protein, keeping the sugar and carbs, of course, to the minimal, avoiding the grains, the sweets, of course, just like we're doing here in keto. And they do really well on keto. Of course, we want the clean keto as what we're teaching you in this class. Exercise for them, you don't want intense exercise. You want more lower intensity, go for a walk. Exercise shouldn't be strenuous. It should be something that you enjoy. So this is key for the adrenal type, and making sure that you're getting enough rest for this person. Also, they do really well on fish oils before and after exercise to keep the inflammatory process down. And of course, here's a list of a lot of the hormones, but also the Dutch test, which I mentioned earlier, because it does also check your adrenal glands. GI map is something that I test for gut health, because when women have adrenal issues, or even men, it leads to intestinal permeability or leaky gut, and you end up with a lot of food intolerances, food allergies, and a lot of digestive issues from celiac to IBD, irritable bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome. So there's a lot going on with that. And as I mentioned earlier, type A personality, a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of anger at self. This person's a perfectionist and they want everything perfect. So that's why they end up getting sick. And these are just a few of the products that they do well with: adrenal support, trace minerals, and even pancreatic and oxbile support for digestion. Then you have the thyroid body type. We actually are going to be doing a 10-day reset program on the thyroid, so we'll give you more information about that. But I'm finding a lot of women with the thyroid body type. They're tired, their weight gain is everywhere, they're cold all the time, their nails are brittle, their hair is really stiff and dry, so they're depressed. It's really hard for them to lose weight. Sometimes their cholesterol level is high, so the first thing the doctor wants to do is put them on cholesterol medication, and actually just optimizing their thyroid health makes a big difference. So they do better with a lot of vegetables, lower animal proteins, plant-based, they do better with that. Higher plant-based fats, so much better. And, they do better with a little higher carbs than too low carb. You don't want to go too low carb when you're a thyroid body type. So these are the little tweaks that make a huge difference for you. So their exercise is usually short and intense workouts. You definitely have to get a full thyroid hormones tested on that, including the antibodies. Those are huge. Thyroid ultrasound is also really important. So some of the emotional connections really is a person that's not voicing their opinion. They feel like they're giving up. They're hopeless. So those are some of the emotional connections. So there's thyroid support. I really like this one from Pure Encapsulations because it has selenium. It's got a little bit of iodine in there. It's got other support that you need for healthy thyroid function, like iron. You need B vitamins. It also has some thyroid support in there. So those are a few. And if you go into our dispensary, you'll see for the different body types. And of course, the last one is the liver body type. And this is a person with a really higher a hard belly. They do better with lots of vegetables and lower animal protein, and they do better with plant-based protein. So, and lower animal fat. And this person has a lot of they have the liver spots. The big thing is they have ascites, or the big hard belly, the pot belly. It's usually, you see that in guys, but you see that in women who drink a lot as well. They do better with the short, intense workouts. You definitely want to get all these markers checked out, especially the GGT, which most doctors don't test, which has a lot to do with gallbladder function. And with the liver body type, they even have a sluggish gallbladder. And so they have like a sludgy gallbladder. So it's just the bile is thick, and you definitely want to, support with liver support. So of course, the enzymes, ox bile works very great. The liver cleanse that we've recommended, and wheatgrass. And once again, these are all on our um, in our dispensary. The emotional connection is usually resistant to change, fear, anger, and bitterness. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I'm a little bit of all. Yes, you can be a little bit of all, but there's usually one that's the biggest driver, and I usually find that it is the adrenal one. So let's talk about this next one here. The removing hidden sugars. Many people do not realize that there's a lot of hidden sugars in the diet, and these are huge. And people do not realize that they're eating more than they're supposed to. So according to the American Heart Association, the maximum added sugar should be 7 teaspoons for men, or 6 teaspoons for women, which equates to about 37 grams for men, 25 grams for women. So the things that you need to look at is you are getting extra sugar if you're not eating clean, if you're not eating foods that are in their purest state. And that's always been my go-to is let's have people just eat real food. And that's why we do keto so much differently than traditionally a lot of people out there, a lot of groups that they have all these keto groups. And I belong to all these groups, and they're eating like pork rinds every single day, bacon every single day, lots of cheese, and they're still inflamed, and they're complaining about, oh, I have upset stomach. Yes, I've lost weight, but I'm achy, and so once you remove the sugar, even the hidden sugars, you feel so much better. And these are some of the hidden sugars in different names. Look at that: barley malt, beet sugar, brown sugar, buttered sugar, cane juice crystals. I mean, these are all different names of sugar, and we don't realize this. Dextrin, malt powder. So maltodextrin, very common. Maltose, these are all other types of sugar. Then you have some that are the liquid forms like agave, carob syrup, golden syrup. So there's a lot of different syrups, but they're still sugar, and they're going to spike your glucose levels, and you're going to spike insulin. And remember, in the presence of insulin, you can't make ketones and you can't burn fat. So you want to stay away from those. So instead, we're going to show you what are the healthier ones. But these are other high sugar sweeteners that are often labeled as healthy: agave, birch, coconut sugar, honey, maple. Yeah, they're cleaner, but they're still, these are definitely cleaner, but it's still sugar. Okay. So sugar is found in a lot of foods. You can find it in yogurt, breakfast bars, and these are things that people eat every day: breakfast cereals, bagels, and you just start reading the labels and you're going to see that there's a lot of sugar in there as well. So some of the natural sweeteners that you have to be careful with, they're really high in sugar, and even in the dairy products, like I mentioned, like yogurt. If you will look at like Yoplait yogurt, it's loaded with sugar. So anytime you see anything that's natural, diet light, healthy, especially if you see something that's low fat, it's going to have a lot of sugar. The reason being is because when you have low fat, fat actually gives it more flavor. You've got to make it taste good. So what do they use? Sugar to make it taste good. And just watch your portion size. So an example would be if you buy like a kombucha drink, and it tells you, oh, there's only 6 grams per serving, but there's 2 servings in the bottle, and you drink the bottle of the kombucha, then it's 12 grams of sugar. So those are some things you want to look for. Look for portion size. So here's a list of the alternatives: stevia, erythro, xylitol, monk fruit, yacon. These are some other ones, other names, and more of the alternatives. But of course, the goal is for you to just consume sugar in its most natural state, like, blueberries, because they're rich with antioxidants and polyphenols. So let's talk about what interferes with why people really struggle with losing weight, even if they're doing keto or they're consuming less calories than they need to. So let's talk about that. These are some reasons that you will not burn fat. And I've seen this because really, if it was calories in versus, you eat less calories and you burn more, then you would lose weight. That's not true. I've seen it too many times in the practice with patients, and they're like, I eat like a bird, and I have them track their meals, and I look, and I'm like, they're just not eating the right foods. And yes, they're consuming less calories, and you would think that they would be losing weight, but they're not. But there's other factors involved. So you've got to look about cortisol. We talked about cortisol, how it's made from the adrenal glands. In the presence of cortisol, it's hard to lose weight. And so when you have higher or low cortisol, you're going to have brain fog, fatigue. It's also going to impact your thyroid, and your thyroid is the thermostat for how the rest of your body works. So really, really important. And it also impacts your digestion and menstrual cycles. When you're estrogen dominant, this will also impact weight loss. You see, a lot of people don't realize that. I was having the conversation with the patient about when you can be estrogen dominant because you don't have enough progesterone. And we see that a lot in women once they're in menopause. They're like, well, I'm not making that much estrogen anymore. Yes, but you don't have enough progesterone, so therefore that makes you estrogen dominant. Or the person that's consuming a lot of animal products loaded with hormones, or they're drinking out of the plastic cups, they're using the styrofoams, things of that sort. Those are all estrogen mimickers that will put you in estrogen dominance. And we see that a lot in the men as well. And you see men's with boobs, they have moobs, and that's a person who's estrogen dominant. So you can even recognize that in men. And that's the beauty of doing this program, is that you will start to see other people and you'll recognize it, and you might even make a comment to them like, if you recognize the thyroid body type, and they tell you like, oh, my hands are always cold, I'm cold all the time, and I just can't remember things, and my hair is dry, you're going to look at them and think, hey, have you ever had your thyroid checked? It's like you're going to be more aware of that. So it's really great that you're getting this knowledge. What interferes with fat burning? Also PCOS, and because of the high androgens, DHEA, and testosterone, we see that a lot. And it's a big driver of PCOS is the blood sugar dysregulation. So those are some other drivers, and other things that impact your hormone imbalance and will interfere with weight loss is when a woman goes through menopause. Stress, any type of stress, physical, chemical, emotional. And I've talked about that so much because your body will hold on to fat as a protection mechanism. And when you have a low thyroid, so there's a lot of women that are taking thyroid medication, maybe like Synthroid, levothyroxine, and it's a T4, but it's not doing anything. They're not getting the T4 to T3 conversion. So a low thyroid function, until that's fixed, weight loss is going to be impossible. Eating too little, a low calorie diet. One of the problems that once you start eating keto is you're not hungry because of the high fat. So I have to make sure that women are eating enough protein and making sure that they're eating enough food. A nice problem to have, right? If you have inflammation, whether it's in the guts, whether it's in the joints, people even have brain inflammation, your body will hold on to weight as a protective mechanism. And food sensitivities, that's why I have patients eliminate dairy products, and even just doing keto for the first month. You got to be careful with some, like even some people have an inflammatory response to fish and eggs, especially egg whites. So you have to find out what your body's sensitive, and some of you already know. And when you have digestive issues, when you have leaky gut, when you have candida, when you have yeast infection, any of those, bacterial overgrowth, you're constipated, you have acid reflux, those are some digestive issues that will also inhibit weight loss. So, a couple more things here. You got your eating plan here along with your food tracker. And one more here is this is probably one of, I'm hoping that you're really getting dialed in with the mindset part because the mindset part is huge. And with mindset, I would say you've got to get that dialed in because I would say your thoughts are powerful and your words are spells. If you think about that, you know, just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Just because you think, especially if it's bad, and just because you think something that's negative doesn't mean that you have to speak it out because you give it more power when you speak it out. You give it more, you give it like 10 times more power just by saying it. So if they're not good thoughts, then you don't want to say it out. You don't want to share that with anybody because you are just, I always say, tagging into that frequency and more bad things will happen because really our thoughts create us. And we have an average of 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same as yesterday. A lot of them are fearful, a lot of them are negative. And so they will continue to just hang out in our subconscious mind. And as you can see here, your subconscious mind, it's more powerful than a computer because your conscious mind is 10%. Your subconscious mind, that's what your body's running off of. It's 90%. And we're talking about your long-term memory, your emotions and feelings, your habits, your relationships, creativity. These are all the subconscious mind. And so it's really important that you train your subconscious mind because it's like a storage room of everything that is currently not in your conscious mind. It's all your previous life experiences, your beliefs, your skills, your memories, anything that you've said, you felt, you heard, and you've seen. It's in there. And so we have to remember because your mind controls your body. And if you do this, if I tell you, hey, put your left arm back as far as you can, okay, and you're putting your left arm back as far as you can. And if I tell you to, come on, you can push a little bit more, and you watch that it moves back a little bit more, because I just told you, move it back a little bit more, and you were able to move it a little bit more. And I might tell you again, push back a little bit more, and you move back even a little bit more, and you keep thinking, I can't go back anymore. But as I tell you to go back more, you go back. And so you see how powerful your mind is and how those words impact your body. So make sure that you're saying positive things because 96 to 98% of the time your body is an autopilot and it's controlled by your subconscious mind. And so some ways that you want to reprogram that are hypnosis, or audio, speaking your future in your own voice and recording it. So because the cool thing is your subconscious mind, it can't tell what's real and what's not. So when you have, I don't know if you've ever had a nightmare and you wake up and you're sweating, or you wake up and you're crying because you thought that you were actually experienced that, and it wasn't. It was just a nightmare or a dream. So those all impact your immune system as well. So that's why it's really important that you watch what you put in your mind. You watch what you see with your eyes. You are aware of what you're listening with. So it's really, really important. Um, Other things here. So you can read through here, just basically, as I mentioned before, you're speaking words. If you're speaking positive words to someone, you are sharing high vibrational energy. And if you're complaining, gossiping, or speaking words with low vibrational energy with someone, you're going to share that energy with other people. So the way I like to explain that is an energy is just a frequency. So your telephone, if you pick up your telephone, you call somebody, you're on the same frequency. It's because you just called them. Okay. So when you're in a negative frequency, you're going to attract negativity. So that's why this program, I've always told patients, you've got to become a new person. You've got to create a new identity. And going back to, so I pretty much explained a lot of this just for video for you to see. And please, please, please get the mind hack down. Those are one that's so important. And I know other programs don't teach this because I've gone through so many programs. I study other programs, and no one ever talks about your mind and thoughts and so forth. And so we have your eating plan and we have some more recipes, but I want to make sure that you really get this dialed in, your food tracker. Once again, the goal is 7 cups of vegetables here. The goal is 5 tablespoons of these oils here. The goal is 3 servings of protein here. If you have to add a fourth, that's fine. And if you want to have more fats, here are more fats so that you add fat until you're satiated. Nuts and seeds, 1 ounce. So that's 1 serving. Fruit, you want to go with a cup of berries, half a grapefruit, a small pear. And these are more your category 2 vegetables. So we have the list is there as well. So you want to make sure that you're tracking. I know that I've gone over this, but track. What time are you waking up? How are you feeling? When was your first meal? When was your second meal? What was, what did you eat? The reason being is because you want to make sure that you recognize which food your body loves, not necessarily what you love, but what does your body really love? What does it thrive on? So, and then, what was your sleep like? You notice like, oh, I ate at 6 o'clock and I couldn't sleep all night, or I had sweet potato at night and I couldn't sleep well. And I can tell you from personal experience that I do not do well now with sweet potatoes. I love sweet potato fries, and you can see here the list. I do not do well. It's just I got bloated all the time. I felt horrible. And so I wouldn't have known that if I didn't track my food. And I've also noticed that certain nuts and seeds really upset my stomach. And also, if I had like a steak even late at night and that's all I ate, I still slept okay. And that's where you have to figure out what works for you. So that is it for week 3. By now, you should be really tapping into the fat burning. You should feel pretty full. If you don't, post something in Facebook. Let us know, what can we help you with? Because this program, I promise you, if you follow it, you're going to feel amazing. And if you're not, if you haven't added the minerals or digestive enzymes, please do, because that makes a huge difference. All righty, that is it for now. And we will catch you on the next one. We'll see you next week. Okay,